Remember in school, I mean, Brigham, some people went to school, it's cool, don't get offended. But in school, you'd have this kid that was the brown nose or the teacher, just going above and beyond, doing all the extra assignments. Those are overachievers, and nobody wants that. However, on this fly, we're going to do a bunch of extra fancy stuff to a midge. Therefore, we call it the overachiever. But guess what? It pokes them.
That's a big brown throw!
Okay, we have a really cool midge here. It's kind of a takeoff of many midges because, like, how creative can you really get with midges? We'll show you. We're actually just going to be using some of the new materials from Fulling Mill, including this hook. This is a 5027. It's their grab gape heavy. It's a super cool hook. This is a size 20. So we're going to just start this off with some nano silk. So you don't see me tie with nano silk much, but it's very useful in a fly like this where you need absolute minimal bulk. All right, so you can use whatever color you want, really. It doesn't matter because, you know, the color just doesn't stay very long on the nano silk. So I have olive on this one. But also, I am going to take a stripped peacock quill. So Fulling Mill has a line of these now that in a bunch of colors. I've moistened this one down and I trimmed away the really fine stuff, and I'm going to tie this facing me so that the dark color's on the bottom, if that means anything. It really doesn't matter much, but sometimes if you want to pile up the stripes on the back on top of themselves, you have to tie it in a certain way. Anyway, yeah, don't get that nerdy about it. It's just a quill and it's just a midge. All right, to add a little bit of durability, even though we are going to coat it with resin, I'm going to just put a tiny little drop of super glue on that. Sorry about the fingers there. But the super glue actually helps this stay in one spot when we wrap it. So as we're wrapping this, it won't slide around too. So the first thing I do is just push it with my thumb and over. The first few wraps I'm really gentle, and that's why I've got to be all fingers here. We'll do a skill builder on this one, hopefully. And then you can use hackle pliers for this if you want. I'm just going to use the rotary feature of my fancy vise, and we're just going to go all the way up the body. All right, so there we have it. A nice quill body tied on a midge. So now we get to doctor it up with some modern things. Okay, so what I've chosen is I have some just crystal flash. I've done some of these with the Hens 233. It's awesome. I've done it with black, purple, pearl. And what you got to realize is with this greenish tint to any of these, when you wrap it over the top of something dark, it all just kind of looks green. So there's not a lot of variation there either. Let me just get that caught in there. That's kind of a hard one to tie in. But I'm just taking my thread back a little bit because we're going to just make one little band, kind of like the bling midge that's out there. So I'm just going to make one turn, and then sometimes I do a turn on top of itself just to bring that flash out just a little bit more, and we'll catch that down. So it doesn't really even look like any flash at all is on that, but as soon as we put resin over this, you'll see it all just kind of pop. So I am going to now build up a little bit of a head, and all right, so I just colored my thread black because I want a black head on the front of this. Just kind of a little bulbous head like a midge has. And then we'll throw a whip finish in this. This is the whip finisher that my good buddy Swenny gave me. It's an original Frank Mattarelli whip finisher. All right, and you can see I have a little tiny hanger down there, if you can see it against my finger. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a lighter. All right, so I have a little hanger down right here on the fly. You see that little knob of black? It's not really going to make that much of a difference, but if you put resin over it, it can kind of cause problems. So I'm just going to take a lighter and just barely touch my lighter on that, and it just kind of shrinks it up a little bit. All right, we're ready for resin. The resin I like for these isn't like a real drippy resin like Loon Flow or the Bone Dry. I just like the thin Solarez because it builds up a little bit of bulk, and it's a glossy body when you're finished. So I'll just put some of that on here, and then I'll take my bodkin and just work that around the fly. So if you like to tie midges and fish midges that aren't your run-of-the-mill, just everyday zebra midges, this is a cool one. I'm going to just add a little more resin on it. Okay, I have too much resin on it right now, and that's fine because I can just tap my finger on either side, and now it takes a little bit off, and just rotate that until it kind of all bleeds back together. Anyway, that's kind of a cool midge if you're looking for something that's a little more techy, a little more detail, and gonna fish a little better than a zebra midge too.